Part 1. The Fall and the Humans' Arrival. The skies above Seraphis IX burned. Once, the planet's twin suns had bathed crystalline spires in a calm, golden light. Now, ash floated through the atmosphere like slow-motion snowfall, and the spires were shattered, broken ribs of a dying civilization. From orbit, the war looked like a storm. Fleets of alien vessels, sleek silver arcs of the celestial dominion, clashed with dark human warships that bled plasma fire. The air trembled with thunder as orbital debris rained upon the capital below. And amid the chaos, one human drop pod cut through the clouds. Inside, Captain Elias Rohn gripped his harness, face streaked with soot. He wasn't a soldier anymore. Not officially. He'd retired after the siege of Titan's Gate, a man haunted by the screams of both sides. But when the distress signal from Seraphis came through, the voice of an alien princess crying out for peace, he couldn't stay away. "Computer," he muttered, voice low and steady, "set down near the palace ruins. Scan for life signs." "Warning," the AI replied, its tone oddly gentle. "Surface radiation exceeds." "Do it." The pod roared downward, cutting through smoke and lightning. When it slammed into the ground, the impact threw Elias forward, smashing his shoulder into the console. He hissed in pain, but his hands moved on instinct, grabbing his medkit, rifle, and a small silver locket that hung at his neck. The hatch burst open. Outside, the capital lay in ruins. Glowing rivers of molten crystal flowed between collapsed towers. Bodies of celestial guards littered the marble steps leading to the shattered throne hall. Their translucent armor flickered like dying stars. Elias stepped over them, boots crunching glass. His visor displayed flickering life signs, faint, deep within the palace. One signature pulsed weakly. Heartbeat. "Still alive," he breathed. "Hang on." He sprinted inside. The throne hall was enormous. Its domed ceiling had caved in, leaving a jagged opening to the storm above. Holograms flickered along the walls. Memories of peace treaties, laughter, coronations. They played on endless loops, unaware that their empire was gone. At the center of the hall lay Princess Serenia of the Celestials. Her form was almost ethereal, skin like luminescent silver, hair a river of soft starlight spilling across the marble. Her gown was torn, soaked in a strange glowing fluid that shimmered with every pulse of her weakening heart. Elias dropped to his knees beside her. "Princess Serenia," he said softly. "I got your signal. I'm here." Her eyes fluttered open, irises of pale gold, bright even through the dust and smoke. "A human," she whispered. "Why would a human come here?" "Because you asked for help." A faint, broken laugh escaped her lips. "My people declared war on yours. You shouldn't be here." "I'm not here for them." Elias opened his medkit, hands trembling as he tried to seal a wound across her abdomen. The alien flesh shimmered like liquid crystal under his touch. "I'm here for you." "Then you've already made a mistake." Her voice faded. A low tremor shook the palace. From beyond the broken archways, shadows moved. Armored celestial soldiers, survivors of the royal guard, their eyes filled with rage and despair. They saw Elias and raised their weapons, energy spears humming to life. "Human!" one shouted. "Step away from her." Elias raised his hands. "She's dying. Let me help her. You brought this war. You destroyed." "Enough!" another voice commanded. An older celestial warrior stepped forward, armor cracked, face marked with burns. His insignia glowed faintly. General Thalrek, Serenia's uncle. His gaze was cold as he looked upon the human kneeling by his niece. "Lower your weapons," Thalrek said quietly. "But General," "I said lower them." The soldiers obeyed. Thalrek knelt beside Elias, his massive frame casting a long shadow. "You came through fire and death for her?" Elias met his gaze. "She called for peace. I couldn't ignore that." The general studied him for a moment, then looked at the princess's pale face. "Her life force fades. Even our healers could not restore her." "Maybe I can," Elias said, checking her vitals through his scanner. "Her system's shutting down. Energy collapse, neural dissonance. I've seen similar cases in humans exposed to hyperion radiation. I can stabilize her if..." Thalrek's expression darkened. "You don't understand. Our kind doesn't heal like yours. Our life force is tied to the stellar core. When it's severed, no mortal touch can mend it. Then it's a good thing I'm not mortal enough to care about the odds." The general's lips twitched, almost a smile. "Then try human. And may the stars have mercy." Elias worked fast, injecting stabilizers, sealing wounds with biofoam. But her vitals kept dropping. Her pulse was erratic, her skin growing cold. He pressed his palm to her chest, searching for a heartbeat. "Come on," he murmured. "Don't leave me now." "Captain." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Why do you care?" "Because I've seen too many die. Too many I couldn't save." His eyes burned with memory. "Not again." Her gaze softened. "You're strange for a human." "Yeah, I get that a lot." Her breath came slower now, her light dimming. "If I die," she whispered, tell them the war wasn't my wish." Elias's throat tightened. "You'll tell them yourself." But her eyes closed. The golden light in them faded. The scanner gave a long, flat tone. "No," Elias whispered. "No, no, no." He pulled her into his arms. The warmth was leaving her, replaced by the chill of crystal flesh. Around them, even the storm seemed to still. The celestial soldiers bowed their heads in silence. Then something strange happened. Elias's vision blurred. His hand still pressed over her heart. A faint glow began to rise from beneath his skin, soft, blue, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. What's happening?" he gasped. Thalrek's eyes widened. "Your touch. It's resonating." The light spread, blue mingling with her gold, weaving like threads of dawn through shadow. The glow deepened, and for a moment the air itself seemed to hum with an ancient note. Her body trembled. A gasp tore from her lips. Her eyes shot open, gold blazing bright again. She clutched at his chest, drawing a shuddering breath as life rushed back through her veins like liquid fire. The soldiers cried out in disbelief. Thalrek staggered back, awe and fear mixing in his face. "By the stars, she's alive." Elias held her tighter, his own heart pounding wildly. "Welcome back, princess." Her gaze found his, trembling, radiant. "What did you do?" He looked at his glowing hand. The light faded slowly. "I don't know." But deep inside he felt it. Something ancient had awakened between them. And outside, far above the broken palace, the storm began to clear. Part 2: The Princess and the Gift. The rain on Seraphis IX had turned to silver mist. The skies above the shattered palace now shimmered with faint auroras, the kind that hadn't appeared on this world for centuries. Every soldier, every healer, every witness stood frozen, unable to comprehend the impossible. Princess Serenia, last heir to the celestial dominion, had died. And yet, here she was, breathing again, light returning to her eyes, the glow of her life force rekindled by the touch of a human. Thalrek's voice trembled as he stepped forward. Serenia, you were gone. The stellar core dimmed when your heart stopped. What is this? Serenia sat up slowly, her hair spilling around her like starlight. She looked at Elias, still kneeling before her, hand resting over his heart as though afraid it might still glow. He brought me back, she whispered. I felt the cold of the void and then warmth, like the pulse of the universe itself answering me. The general's jaw clenched. That's not possible. No human should be able to touch our essence, let alone reignite it. Elias stood still, breathing hard. I didn't do anything special. I just didn't want her to die. The general eyed him sharply. Perhaps that will be your curse. But Serenia reached for Elias's hand. Her fingers brushed his skin, and the faint hum returned, soft and musical, like two harmonics blending in perfect resonance. Both of them flinched. The glow appeared again, faint but unmistakable. What is this? Elias asked. Serenia's expression was unreadable. A connection, she whispered. Your energy, your life responds to mine. But that should be impossible. The Celestials and humans share no common core. Unless... She looked up at her uncle, realization dawning. You knew. Thalrek looked away, his expression heavy. It was a theory the scholars dismissed ages ago. The ancients wrote of a species, the originators, who seeded the galaxy with fragments of themselves. A genetic echo. Perhaps humans inherited that spark. Elias frowned. You're saying humans and Celestials are related? In a way, Thalrek said. But even if that's true, such resonance hasn't been seen in millennia. Not since the War of Creation. Serenia turned to Elias again, eyes wide with wonder. You were never meant to be here, Captain Roan. And yet, your arrival was foretold. Foretold. The prophecy of Orin, she said softly. It speaks of a mortal from the stars whose touch would rekindle life when all light fades. It was said to mark the rebirth of the Celestials, or their end. Elias gave a tired, lopsided smile. So I'm either your savior or your doomsday. Great. But Thalrek wasn't smiling. If the Dominion learns of this, they will come for you. They will not allow such power to exist outside their control. Elias looked around the ruined hall, at the wounded soldiers, the burning city beyond the shattered windows. Control's exactly what got us here. Serenia stood shakily, leaning on him for balance. If we stay, they'll kill you. He shook his head. Not leaving without you. Her lips parted, surprise flashing in her golden eyes. Why? Because I didn't crawl through hellfire to watch you die twice. For the first time, her solemn face softened into a fragile smile. Then we run. They moved through the ruined city under cover of smoke and moonlight. Thalrek guided them to an underground chamber beneath the palace, a network of ancient catacombs, built when Seraphis was young. This will take you to the outer spires, Thalrek said. Beyond that, the humans still control the evacuation routes. They'll help you if you claim sanctuary. Elias frowned. You're not coming. My place is here, the general said quietly. I will tell them you perished in the fires, Serenia. The Dominion must not know you live. Not yet. Serenia's eyes shimmered with tears. Uncle. He placed a hand on her shoulder. Your life is the last hope of our kind. If what this human has done means what I think it does, you must find out why. Elias hesitated. I can't promise I'll find answers. Thalrek gave him a grim smile. You already have, Captain. You've proven that compassion can bridge worlds where treaties failed. He turned away, climbing the steps toward the ruined hall above. Go. Before the next wave arrives. The tunnels beneath the palace were dark, lined with ancient carvings that glowed faintly at their passing. Symbols of stars, intertwined hands, and twin flames. One gold, one blue. Elias ran his fingers across them as they walked. They knew, he murmured. Whoever built this place, they knew there'd come a day when your kind and mine would meet again. Serenia glanced at him. My people always believed themselves divine, that we descended from the light of creation. But maybe we just forgot what we truly were. What's that? Children, she said softly. Of the same stars. They emerged into the outer valley, once a garden of crystalline trees, now scorched and broken. A single human evac ship waited on a plateau, engines humming faintly in the stormlight. Elias tapped his comm. This is Captain Roan to any listening vessel. I've got a high-priority medical evac. Sending coordinates. Static. Then a voice. Roan, you're supposed to be off duty. What the hell are you doing in Dominion space? Saving someone important, Elias replied. Understood. We've got you on scan. 5 minutes to extraction. He turned to Serenia. You'll be safe once we're off-world. But she shook her head. Safe. There's no such thing anymore. My revival will ignite something, Elias. Either hope or war. He studied her face, the faint shimmer of light beneath her skin, the strength returning to her posture. We'll make it mean hope. Her gaze softened. You speak as if the universe listens. Maybe it does, he said. You came back, didn't you? She smiled faintly. Perhaps, because you wouldn't let me go. They stood in silence for a moment, wind whispering through the broken trees. The evac ship descended, lights sweeping across the valley. And then a flash. A streak of plasma fire ripped through the clouds, followed by another. The ground shook as explosions erupted around them. Dominion fighters screamed overhead. They've found us, Elias shouted. Serenia's eyes flared with gold light. Run! They sprinted toward the ship, dodging debris as the ground erupted in molten bursts. Elias fired his rifle at the descending drones, each shot precise, controlled. One drone crashed into the cliffs, its wings snapping like glass. But another beam struck near them, throwing Elias to the ground. He groaned, rolling over, and saw Serenia standing between him and the blast, her form glowing brilliantly, absorbing the energy. Serenia! She turned to him, eyes blazing like twin suns. Go. I can hold them off. Not without me. He grabbed her arm, pulling her behind cover. You just came back from the dead. You're not dying again. The evac ship hovered closer, ramp lowering. The pilot shouted over comms. 30 seconds. Elias lifted his rifle again, covering their retreat. Serenia stumbled, weakened from channeling so much energy. He caught her, arm around her waist, guiding her up the ramp. As the ship rose, the battlefield below vanished into storm and fire. Through the viewport, Seraphis IX grew smaller, the once proud capital now nothing but embers. Serenia pressed her hand against the glass, tears streaking her face. My home, she whispered. All gone. Elias stood beside her, silent. Then gently he took her hand. Not all. You're still here. She turned to him, her eyes meeting his. Because of you. He smiled faintly. Let's just say I'm stubborn. For the first time she laughed, a soft musical sound that made the air feel lighter. Then perhaps stubbornness is divine. But as the stars stretched into the darkness of space, both of them felt it, An unease, a pulse in the distance. Something had changed in the fabric of the galaxy. Her revival hadn't gone unnoticed. And somewhere far beyond the void, 1,000 eyes turned toward the light that should never have returned. Part 3. The Awakening and the Farewell. The human vessel Aurora's Edge drifted through silent space, engines dimmed to hide from pursuit. Inside its med bay, soft blue lights pulsed in rhythm with the princess's breathing. Elias sat nearby, his uniform torn and stained, eyes fixed on the monitors. Since leaving Seraphis IX, Serenia had slipped into strange cycles of waking and sleeping. Each time she closed her eyes, the ship's lights flickered, as if her pulse was linked to the energy grid itself. Dr. Marin, a compact woman with a sharp mind and sharper tongue, studied the readings. Her vitals are stable but impossible. Her cells are generating an energy field that's rewriting our instruments. Will she be all right? Elias asked. Marin hesitated. If the data's right, she's evolving. Whatever you triggered down there is still changing her. Hours later, when the ship drifted beyond Dominion patrol range, Serenia awoke. The glow in her eyes was softer now, her voice steadier. Elias, she said, you haven't slept. He smiled faintly. Hard to sleep when the laws of biology just broke in front of you. He sat up. I remember dying. Everything fading. Then your heartbeat. It called to me like an echo through the void. When I returned, I saw something. Our life forces entwined like two constellations crossing paths. He took her hand. Maybe it means we share something deeper than blood or light. Her fingers tightened around his. Or that the universe isn't done with us. Days passed. Outside, the stars blurred into the endless dark. Inside, whispers spread among the crew, rumors of a human who healed the divine. When Serenia walked the corridors, people bowed instinctively, though she waved them off with quiet grace. She spent most of her time with Elias, learning human customs, music, humor, the taste of real coffee. In turn, she told him of the celestial dominion, their songs that shaped stone, their temples that floated on beams of light. Your people create from fire, she said once, listening to him play a fragment of an old earth melody on a worn harmonica. Mine create from harmony. Perhaps that's why our worlds collided. We were always searching for the same song. He looked at her, half smiling. And maybe we finally found it. Her cheeks glowed faintly, golden light rippling across her skin. Careful, Captain. Your words make even stars blush. But peace never lasts. One evening, the ship's alarms shrieked. Dominion interceptors had found them. 3 hunter ships, closing fast. Elias ran to the bridge. Evasive pattern Delta. Marin's hands flew over the controls. They're hailing us, audio only. A cold metallic voice filled the cabin. Return the celestial princess to our custody. The human vessel will then be spared. Elias glanced at Serenia. She stood tall, calm amid the chaos. They won't stop, she said quietly. They fear what I've become. Then we fight, he replied. No, she whispered. If we fight, more will die. I can end this another way. Before he could stop her, she stepped to the forward viewport. The light within her body brightened until it filled the bridge. Their sensors follow energy signatures, she murmured. If I leave the ship, they'll chase me, and you'll escape. Elias's heart clenched. You can't do that. She turned to him, eyes shimmering with sorrow. I must. If I stay, they'll destroy you to reach me. And if they capture me, they'll use this connection between us as a weapon. He shook his head. There has to be another way. There isn't, she said gently. You gave me life. Let me give you time. Minutes later, the airlock cycled open. The stars stretched endlessly beyond, a sea of darkness glittering with silent fire. Serenia stood at the threshold, her gown of woven light flowing like a comet's tail. Elias stood behind her, fists clenched. You said the prophecy spoke of rebirth or the end, he said hoarsely. Which is this? She smiled sadly. Both perhaps. Every ending births something new. He stepped closer, voice cracking. You don't have to go alone. Her hand rose, trembling, brushing his cheek. If I stay, neither of us will live. If I go, maybe both our worlds will. Serenia. She leaned forward and pressed her forehead to his. Their energy flared again, blue and gold intertwining. The ship's metal hummed as if singing. Remember, she whispered, life answers life. Wherever stars are born, I will feel you there. Then she stepped into the void. The airlock sealed. Outside, she shone brighter and brighter until her form dissolved into pure radiance. The Dominion ships halted mid-pursuit, blinded by the surge. On every sensor, a new beacon appeared. A massive pulse expanding outward, disarming weapons, neutralizing engines, spreading peace through the very fabric of space. And then silence. When the light faded, the Dominion ships drifted powerless. The Aurora's edge escaped into hyperspace, leaving behind only faint echoes. Elias stood alone at the viewport, staring into the trail of gold particles still glimmering in the dark. Marin approached quietly. She's gone, the doctor said softly. He nodded, voice low. No. She's everywhere. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the small silver locket, the one he always carried. Inside was a single crystal shard glowing faintly gold. He didn't remember putting it there, but it pulsed gently, in rhythm with his heart. Months later, peace treaties began. The Dominion, stripped of its leadership and shamed by the miracle that had unfolded, opened negotiations with Earth. Across the stars, temples were rebuilt, this time to honor unity rather than conquest. They called the phenomenon the Serenia Light. Some said it was divine intervention. Others called it science unbound. But for Elias Rohn, it was a promise kept, a connection that no distance could break. He returned to Seraphis IX once it was safe, walking among the ruins now blooming again with crystal flowers. At night, he would look up at the twin suns and whisper, "Still stubborn, aren't you?" Sometimes the auroras would shimmer in reply, blue and gold threads weaving through the heavens, like two souls dancing in endless orbit. Epilogue, the whisper of stars. In the quiet void beyond known space, a faint spark floated where the princess had vanished. It pulsed once, gold and blue intertwined, and from it tiny motes of light scattered, seeding new stars. Among them a voice whispered, soft, eternal. Where there is life, there is love. Where there is love, I am. Elias never heard the words aloud. But every time a new star ignited in the galactic charts, he smiled, knowing she was still out there, keeping her promise. And somewhere in that endless ocean of light, two constellations forever crossed paths again. End of Part 3.